I'm standing in what was once the world's first industrial city, Manchester.
1850, this city produced more cotton cloth than the entire rest of the world combined.
More
Then,
the
world. Let me show you how that happened. Here's the question that haunted me when I first studied Manchester's transformation.
Did a medieval market town of 15,000 people become Cottonopolis, the shock city of the Industrial Revolution, in just 70 years?
Rewind to 1750. Manchester is unremarkable. A small textile town processing wool and linen by hand. No steam engines, no factories, no canals. Just 20,000 residents working in cottage industries, spinning thread on wooden wheels, weaving cloth on hand looms in their homes. The River Irwell flows through, providing
Water power for a handful of mills. But Manchester has something, a damp climate. Sounds trivial. It's
not. The moisture in the air prevents cotton threads from snapping during spinning. This geographic accident will change everything.
The first transformation begins in the 1760s. Richard Arkwright patents the water frame in 1769. It's a spinning
machine that uses water power to produce cotton thread faster and stronger than any human spinner. Suddenly, one machine
Can do the work of dozens of workers. Manchester entrepreneurs immediately recognized the potential. By 1780, water-powered cotton mills are appearing along Manchester's rivers. Adult workers migrate from surrounding villages, chasing wages.
Double what farm labor offers. The population begins to grow, 25,000 by 1780. But the real explosion
hasn't started yet. Here's what triggered the transformation into Cottonopolis. In 1785, Edmund Cartwright invents
The power loom. In 1781, James Watt perfects the rotary steam engine. These two technologies converge. In Manchester in the 1790s, steam power means factories no longer need to be near rivers. Manchester is perfectly positioned. The Bridgewater Canal, completed in 1761, had already connected Manchester to Liverpool's port and
to coal mines. Cheap coal, cheap cotton imported from slave plantations in America, cheap labor flooding in from Ireland.
And rural England. The conditions aligned perfectly. Between 1780 and 1800, Manchester's population doubles.
50,000 people by 1801. The first steam-powered cotton mill opens in 1789. By 1800,
if there are dozens, massive brick structures with hundreds of power looms, each tended by adult workers operating 12 to 14 hour shifts. The skyline transforms, factory chimneys belching coal smoke. I found a visitor's account
from 1808 that stopped me cold. A French engineer named Louis Simond wrote, "Manchester is the most extraordinary
town I have seen. Nothing prepares you for the scale. Hundreds of smoking chimneys, the air thick with coal dust.
The noise is overwhelming. By 1815, Manchester has 100 cotton mills. The city produces 40% of the world's cotton cloth, 40% from one city. The population reaches 130,000. Not
gradual growth, exponential explosion. But let me show you what the statistics conceal. The human cost.
I examined parliamentary reports from factory inspectors in the 1830s. Adult workers describe
factories where temperatures reached 90 degrees. Cotton dust so thick it coated lungs. No safety guards on machinery.
Accidents were routine. Crushed hands, severed fingers. The average life expectancy for a Manchester cotton worker in
1840 was just 29 years. 29. In rural England at the same time, it was 45. Manchester.
Workers were dying 16 years younger because of factory conditions. Housing couldn't keep pace with population growth. By 1830,
workers lived in back-to-back housing with no ventilation, no running water, no sewage systems. Entire families crammed into single rooms.
Cellar dwellings below street level, perpetually damp, breeding tuberculosis. The River Irwell ran black with dye waste. The air was so polluted that Manchester had permanent smog. Friedrich Engels came to Manchester in 1842.
What he witnessed shaped his political philosophy. He wrote, "I have never seen so systematic a concealment of poverty."
The wealthy live in suburbs upwind from the factories. The workers live in districts the wealthy never see. Two Manchesters existing side by side, knowing nothing of each other. Yet the economic impact was undeniable. Manchester's cotton exports drove British economic growth for decades. By 1830, cotton textiles accounted for 50% of Britain's export value.
Half, and most came from Manchester. The city's merchants and mill owners accumulated enormous wealth. They built grand
Warehouses, banks, commercial buildings. The cotton came from slave plantations. This cannot be ignored. Manchester's prosperity was built on American slavery. Raw cotton from plantations in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi was shipped to Liverpool, transported via canal to Manchester, spun into thread, woven into cloth, and exported globally. When the American
Civil War began in 1861 and the Union Navy blockaded Confederate ports, cotton shipments to Manchester stopped.
The Lancashire cotton famine began. By 1862, half of Manchester's mills had closed.
200,000 workers lost employment. Yet Manchester workers, despite their suffering, supported the Union and the abolition. The American president wrote them a letter thanking them for their sacrifice. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway, opened in 1830, was
The world's first intercity passenger railway. It revolutionized transportation, moving raw cotton and finished goods faster than ever. By 1850, Manchester had 300 cotton mills employing over 200,000 adult workers. The city's population reached 330,000. It had grown 20-fold in a century. The urban landscape was entirely
transformed. Medieval buildings demolished, railway viaducts cutting through neighborhoods, vast warehouses storing
cotton and cloth. A new industrial working class emerged, distinct from agricultural laborers. Factory operatives,
dependent on wage labor, subject to the discipline of machinery and factory bells. They organized. Trade unions formed. The Chartist movement demanding voting rights found strong support in Manchester. A new industrial capitalist class emerged. 2. Mill owners who accumulated wealth from cotton. They built mansions in suburbs far from factory smoke. They entered politics and shaped policy. Manchester became a symbol. For advocates of industrialization, it represented
progress and economic growth. For critics, it symbolized exploitation and human suffering. Both
The audio features a voiceover from a 65-year-old American male historian. The voice is deep, resonant.
A Manchester model became the template for industrial capitalism worldwide. The environmental cost was severe. By
1850, Manchester's air quality was among the worst in the world. Coal smoke from hundreds of chimneys created a permanent
pall. The rivers were dead, poisoned by industrial waste. Respiratory diseases were endemic. Yet,
innovation continued. Manchester became a center for scientific research. John Dalton developed atomic theory here. James
until innovation continued. Manchester became a center for scientific research. Major discoveries in atomic theory and inevitable. Could the Industrial Revolution have happened elsewhere? The answer is no. Manchester's rise
required specific conditions that converged uniquely. Damp climate for cotton, access to coal, proximity.
The transcription is a voiceover by a 65-year-old American male historian. Based on the provided
model spread worldwide, and with it spread the same patterns. Long working hours, dangerous conditions, environmental destruction, urban squalor. These became normalized features of industrialization globally. I traced one piece of Manchester.
Cotton cloth to a plantation ledger in Mississippi. That cloth was made into slave clothing. The cotton came from fields
worked by enslaved people. The thread was spun by Manchester workers living in poverty. The profit went to mill owners and plantation.
one piece of cloth, an entire global system of exploitation embedded in its fibers.
What did Manchester's rise actually mean? It proved that industrial production could create unprecedented wealth. It demonstrated
that technology could multiply human productivity exponentially. It showed that cities could grow to scales previously unimaginable. But
it also revealed the human cost of treating people as factors of production. It showed how easily economic growth can coexist with
human suffering. It demonstrated that progress for some often means exploitation of others. Manchester's transformation
wasn't just about cotton or factories or steam engines. It was about a fundamental reorganization of human society. From agricultural to industrial, from rural to urban, from craft to machine. The world we live in today
was shaped in Manchester's cotton mills. And here's the final question. If we could go back, knowing what
We know about the costs. Would we choose this path? Would we accept the challenges of Manchester workers in exchange?
for industrial modernity? Or would we seek a different route? Slower, perhaps, but less brutal. I found
a testimony in a parliamentary inquiry from 1844. An adult cotton spinner named William Dodd, who lost his arm in a factory accident,
Was asked about coming to Manchester from his village. He responded, "Life was hard in my village too. At least here, I saw possibilities."
even if they crushed most of us. My question is different. Why did possibilities have to require such hardship? Why couldn't we build
this new world without breaking so many people? Why indeed? That question echoes across the centuries.
And Manchester stands as both monument and warning, reminding us that every transformation has a price, and those who pay it are
Rarely those who profit from it.